Illinois Real Estate Exam Sample Questions. Question 1. Cameron passed the Illinois broker examination but delayed the license application for more than a year. What is the likely exam-related consequence during Jamie's Peoria Commercial Suite file review? Option A. The passing examination result may no longer be usable for licensure. Option B. The score remains valid permanently. Option C. The candidate becomes licensed automatically. Option D. Only a name-change form is required. The correct answer is option A. The passing examination result may no longer be usable for licensure. The SI Bulletin states that candidates must apply for licensure within 1 year after passing the appropriate examination. A permanent score, automatic licensure, or a simple name-change form would not satisfy the application requirement after the score validity window has passed. Question 2. A buyer and seller dispute whether a custom chandelier stays with the property. Which test is most relevant during Rowan's Naperville Farm parcel file review? Option A. Whether the buyer likes the item. Option B. Whether the item has become a fixture based on attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Option C. Whether the item is expensive enough. Option D. Whether the broker wants it included. The correct answer is option B. Whether the item has become a fixture based on attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Fixture analysis looks at factors such as attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Personal preference, price alone, or the broker's preference does not determine whether the item stays with the real estate. Question 3. A buyer purchases for $370,000, makes a 25% down payment, and has $5,300 in closing costs. About how much cash is needed at closing before credits during Jordan's Rockford single-family home file review? Option A, $92,500. Option B, $5,300. Option C, $97,800. Option D, $364,700. The correct answer is option C, $97,800. Cash needed combines the down payment and closing costs, 25% of $370,000 plus $5,300 equals $97,800. The other choices omit either the costs or the down payment, or subtract costs from the price incorrectly.
Stressed about your AccuPlacer exam? We can take AccuPlacer exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 4. An owner personally advertises and negotiates the sale of the owner's own single-family home. Why is this usually treated differently from brokerage for others during Casey's Bloomington 2-flat building file review? Option A. Every owner must hold a broker license before signing a deed. Option B. The owner is automatically sponsored by the buyer's broker. Option C. The owner may collect commissions from other sellers without a license. Option D. Owners may generally sell or lease their own property without acting as licensed brokers for the public. The correct answer is option D. Owners may generally sell or lease their own property without acting as licensed brokers for the public. Real estate license laws typically regulate brokerage services performed for others, especially for compensation. An owner selling the owner's own property is not thereby representing the public as a broker, while licensing would be required to collect commissions or broker transactions for other owners. Question 5. A buyer reviews debits, credits, lender charges, preparations, and cash needed to close. Which document function is being tested during Morgan's Champaign condominium unit file review? Option A, settlement or closing statement accounting. Option B, a zoning map amendment. Option C, a subdivision plat approval. Option D, a deed covenant creating a life estate. The correct answer is option A, settlement or closing statement accounting. Closing statements organize transaction charges, credits, preparations, and cash to close. Zoning approvals, plats, and deed covenants do not perform the same accounting function. Question 6. A rental property has NOI of $24,000 and a value estimate of $300,000. Approximately what capitalization rate is indicated during Taylor's Joliet townhome file review? Option A, 4%. Option B, 8%. Option C, 11%. Option D, 12.5%. The correct answer is option B, 8%. The capitalization rate is NOI divided by value, so $24,000 divided by $300,000 is about 8%. The other answers have the rate, add unsupported points, or invert the formula. Question 7. Harper posts a social media ad for a listing near Elgin using only a personal phone number and no brokerage identification. Which issue is most likely raised by Illinois advertising rules during Riley's Aurora small apartment building file review? Option A. A licensee may advertise without any broker identification online. Option B. Only print advertising must identify a broker. Option C. Real estate advertising must identify the sponsoring brokerage in a compliant and not misleading way. Option D. Brokerage identification is unnecessary if the property address appears. The correct answer is option C. Real estate advertising must identify the sponsoring brokerage in a compliant and not misleading way. Illinois advertising expectations focus on protecting the public from misleading ads and making the sponsoring brokerage clear. Online ads are still advertising, and the property address or a personal phone number does not replace proper broker identification. Question 8. A consumer asks why a state real estate recovery fund might exist. Which purpose is closest during Avery's Evanston mixed-use storefront file review? Option A. Guaranteeing every buyer a profit on resale. Option B. Paying all ordinary home repairs after closing. Option C. Replacing the need for broker licensing. Option D. Providing a limited source of recovery for certain losses caused by licensee misconduct when statutory requirements are met. The correct answer is option D. Providing a limited source of recovery for certain losses caused by licensee misconduct when statutory requirements are met. Recovery funds are designed as limited consumer-protection remedies for qualifying misconduct-related losses. They do not guarantee investment profit, pay routine repairs, or replace licensing and discipline systems.
Are you looking for non-medical assistant exam actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access non-medical assistant exam study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get non-medical assistant exam answer key today.
Question 9. A buyer obtains a loan of $220,400 on a property appraised at $290,000. Approximately what is the loan minus to minus value ratio during Cameron's Oak Park vacant lot file review? Option A, 76%. Option B, 24%. Option C, 86%. Option D, 61%. The correct answer is option A, 76%. Loan minus to minus value is calculated by dividing the loan amount by the appraised value, $220,400 divided by $290,000, or about 76%. The other percentages confuse equity with LTV or use an incorrect numerator or denominator. Question 10. A listing broker learns of an active termite condition before a buyer submits an offer. How should the issue generally be treated in an Illinois exam scenario during Drew's Decatur rental duplex file review? Option A. It may be hidden if the seller requests silence. Option B. A known material fact should be disclosed rather than concealed. Option C. It is never relevant once the property is listed as minus is. Option D. It must be disclosed only after the buyer obtains a loan. The correct answer is option B. A known material fact should be disclosed rather than concealed. Known material facts can affect a buyer's decision and should not be concealed. A seller's request, and as minus is label, or the timing of financing does not eliminate the broker's duty to avoid misrepresentation and disclose material information. Question 11. A buyer pays for the right, but not the obligation, to purchase a property at a set price during a stated period. Which agreement is described during Hayden's Elgin Lakefront Cottage file review? Option A, open listing only. Option B, tax deed. Option C, option agreement. Option D, subordination agreement. The correct answer is option C, option agreement. An option gives the holder the right to buy under stated terms without requiring the holder to exercise it. An open listing is a brokerage agreement, a tax deed relates to tax enforcement, and subordination changes lien priority. Question 12. A borrower pays 1 discount points on a $220,000 loan. How much do the points cost? Option A, $1,100. Option B, $3,200. Option C, a different result not supported by the facts 3. Option D, $2,200. The correct answer is option D, $2,200. 1 discount point equals 1% of the loan amount, so 1 points cost 1% of $220,000, or $2,200. The other figures use too few points, only 1 point, or add an unsupported amount. Question 13. A residential seller in Illinois knows about past plumbing leaks but leaves the disclosure report blank. What concept is most directly tested during Reese's Carbondale Commercial Suite file review? Option A, the seller's disclosure obligations for known material defects. Option B, the buyer's duty to ignore all seller statements. Option C, the lender's exclusive duty to inspect the property. Option D, the appraiser's authority to waive statutory disclosures. The correct answer is option A, the seller's disclosure obligations for known material defects. Illinois residential disclosure rules focus on the seller's disclosure of known material defects. Buyers still may inspect, but that does not make seller disclosure meaningless. Lenders and appraisers do not waive statutory disclosure duties. Question 14. An ad states only a very low monthly payment without giving required credit terms or context. Which lending minus advertising law is often implicated during Alex's Galesburg Farm parcel file review? Option A, Rule Against Perpetuities. Option B, Truth in Lending Act and Regulation Z. Option C, Fair Credit Reporting Act only. Option D, Illinois Plat Act only. The correct answer is option B, Truth in Lending Act and Regulation Z. Regulation Z under the Truth in Lending Act governs many consumer credit advertising disclosures. The Rule Against Perpetuities and Plat laws do not govern loan advertising, and the FCRA focuses on consumer reports rather than payment minus ed trigger terms. Question 15. Annual property taxes are $3,600, and the seller owes the buyer a credit for 60 days using a 365-day year. Approximately how large is the credit during Blair's Moline single-family home file review? Option A, $300. Option B, $10. Option C, $592. Option D, $1,184. The correct answer is option C, $592. Daily proration divides $3,600 by 365 and multiplies by 60 days, giving about $592. The other choices use 1 month, 1 day only, or double the required prorated period. Question 16. Parker receives $2,500 in earnest money and places it in a personal checking account for convenience. Which trust minus account problem is illustrated? Option A, a lawful automatic conversion of escrow funds into commission. Option B, a required method for handling every earnest money deposit. Option C, a title defect that is cured by recording a deed. Option D, commingling client funds with personal funds. The correct answer is option D, commingling client funds with personal funds. Client or customer funds such as earnest money must be handled through the appropriate special or trust account process. Putting the money into a personal checking account is commingling. It is not automatic commission, not the required method, and not a title minus recording issue. Question 17. A seller receives an offer of $205,000 and responds with $208,000 plus a changed closing date. How should the seller's response be classified? Option A, a counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. Option B, a full acceptance of the buyer's original offer. Option C, a deed transferring title immediately. Option D, a lease option created by operation of law. The correct answer is option A, a counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. Changing material terms such as price or closing date creates a counteroffer rather than an acceptance. It does not transfer title, and it does not create a lease option unless the parties separately agree to those terms. Question 18. A sponsoring broker is asked to produce special account records during a regulatory review. Which practice best supports compliance during Logan's Belleville Townhome file review? Option A, deleting old deposit records once the closing occurs. Option B, maintaining complete transaction and trust minus account records that can be examined when required. Option C, keeping records only in the salesperson's personal email. Option D, combining all clients into one undocumented cash envelope. The correct answer is option B, maintaining complete transaction and trust minus account records that can be examined when required. Regulators may examine records to verify compliant handling of funds and transactions. Deleting records, relying only on a personal email, or using an undocumented cash envelope undermines record retention and auditability.
Stressed about your non-medical assistant exam? We can take non-medical assistant exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 19. Several liens are discovered before closing, including a recorded mortgage, unpaid property taxes, and a later judgment lien. Why is lien priority important during Kendall's Chicago small apartment building file review? Option A, priority decides who may advertise the property. Option B, priority cancels the need for title insurance. Option C, priority determines the order in which claims may be paid from the property's value. Option D, priority makes every lien disappear at listing. The correct answer is option C. Priority determines the order in which claims may be paid from the property's value. Lien priority affects the order of payment when property is sold or foreclosed. It does not control advertising rights, eliminate title insurance analysis, or erase liens merely because a property is listed. Question 20. Avery signs an exclusive buyer representation agreement and later asks why the writing matters. Which answer best fits exam-tested brokerage agreement principles during Harper's Springfield mixed-use storefront file review? Option A. A brokerage agreement eliminates all disclosure duties. Option B. Oral promises always replace signed terms. Option C. A brokerage agreement transfers legal title to the broker. Option D. Written terms help define services, compensation, duration, and the parties' obligations. The correct answer is option D. Written terms help define services, compensation, duration, and the parties' obligations. Brokerage agreements define key business terms and help avoid disputes about services and compensation. They do not eliminate disclosure duties. Oral promises generally do not automatically replace signed terms, and the agreement does not convey title to the broker. Question 21. A landlord refuses to consider an applicant because of sex. What fair housing concept is most directly involved? Option A. Discrimination based on a protected class in housing transactions. Option B. A lawful appraisal adjustment. Option C. A title-priority decision. Option D. A contract contingency automatically required by lenders. The correct answer is option A. Discrimination based on a protected class in housing transactions. Fair housing laws prohibit discrimination in housing based on protected classes. The situation is not an appraisal adjustment, title priority issue, or lender-required contract contingency. Question 22. A sponsored licensee uses the team name Lakefront Homes Team in advertising. Which compliance concern should be checked first during Rowan's Naperville rental duplex file review? Option A. Whether the team can operate without a sponsoring broker. Option B. Whether the team name and ad clearly avoid misleading consumers about the sponsoring brokerage. Option C. Whether the team name creates automatic title insurance. Option D. Whether the team may set commission rates with competitors. The correct answer is option B. Whether the team name and ad clearly avoid misleading consumers about the sponsoring brokerage. Team advertising must be clear enough that consumers are not misled about the brokerage relationship and sponsorship. A team does not replace the sponsoring broker, create title insurance, or justify antitrust violations. Question 23. Two firms agree that one will serve buyers only in Joliet while the other will avoid that area and focus on Aurora. Which antitrust concept best fits? Option A, valid escalation clause. Option B, leasehold estate. Option C, a market allocation. Option D, statutory redemption period. The correct answer is option C, market allocation. Competitors who divide territories or customers can create an unlawful market allocation scheme. Escalation clauses are contract tools, leasehold estates are possessory interests, and redemption periods relate to foreclosure law. Question 24. A business offers to find apartments for renters in exchange for a fee. Why might Illinois licensing law be implicated during Casey's Bloomington Suburban Ranch home file review? Option A, rental minus finding services are always exempt regardless of activity. Option B, only sellers can trigger licensing law. Option C, the service becomes legal if no written records are kept. Option D, rental minus finding services can involve regulated real estate activity when performed for compensation. The correct answer is option D. Rental minus finding services can involve regulated real estate activity when performed for compensation. Rental minus finding and leasing minus related services may be regulated when performed for compensation. The activity is not automatically exempt, licensing law is not limited to sales, and failing to keep records does not cure an unlicensed activity issue. Question 25. Casey prepares a price opinion for a seller indicator to help set a listing price. Which limitation should be remembered during Morgan's Champagne Commercial Suite file review? Option A. A CMA or broker price opinion is not the same as a formal appraisal by a licensed appraiser. Option B. A CMA always creates a guaranteed sale price. Option C. A broker price opinion transfers title. Option D. A CMA eliminates all disclosure duties. The correct answer is option A. A CMA or broker price opinion is not the same as a formal appraisal by a licensed appraiser. A CMA or BPO can help estimate market price for brokerage purposes, but it is not a formal appraisal. It does not guarantee a sale price, transfer title, or remove disclosure obligations.